Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues in the minority that although we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we must fear no evil.
Alexander Afenyo-Markin, Naswayesi, Eja Tuntum, Eja Koko, Eja Vita, Eja Gunichem, Kasadia, heat what?
Of contempt. However, Section 26 of Act 300 makes clear that the enumeration of contempt grounds is not exhaustive. Parliament retains the right to treat as contempt any act that impedes its functions or affronts its dignity. Order 31A similarly contemplates conduct, whether specific or general, that brings Parliament into disrepute or undermines its institutional authority.
More walkouts in Parliament. After walkout, be a press conference. Now you're the official walkout, press conference, walkout, press conference.
I'm surprised at the vituperations of Afenyo-Markin. You get BPO. The way Afenyo-Markin is going on, if you don't check him, it will be very problematic. Saying that he wants to go to Nsawam. Oh, you should try and go. I don't think he's never been there before. Maybe as a lawyer he visited. But if he's locked up, then he will know what it is to be locked up. So he shouldn't talk like that. Because if he starts to his colleagues, I don't think the people surrounding him, they want to go to Nsawam. Because if Nsawam was pleasant, Kenoforiata would be in Ghana by now. He has run away. Kai, Roman Catholic in here, say Freemason, Abba. Papa ne Tibabo no rough.
Victory awaits us.
There is fire on the mountain. Alexander Afenyo-Markin's minority leader in Parliament. Trouble now atunonya trouble ketwa. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, Papa no, say Alexander Afenyo-Markin is filed for contempt and breach of parliamentary privileges over Ghana's ECOWAS parliament delegation. Eti yarefeno edinama Privileges and Immunities Committee.
Pursuant to Order 34.1, I therefore refer the matter, the complaint lodged by the Honourable Member for Boku Central and a majority leader to the Committee on Privileges and Immunities for examination, inquiry, investigation, and report to the House.
Papa Afenyo Alexander Afenyo-Markin's contempt of Parliament. And they charge in a bono. I mean, ye, and no so do, and no so case and casim you. Say, Papa, your friend Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the style of leadership, the way and manner he want to lead the people of the MPP, because any numbers in this one in a day, sometimes he feels by shouting, intimidation, by creating chaos, by creating a friend say anger. But always creating a friend say some hula balubi out there. KSM Kasim said the oil no and here as some papa MPP. Now so MPP for chama won't me nipa bako a will lead this workout. Aye papa your friend the minority leader and no leader moboko e dey omo pie ye hair no na papa no or to the floor a friend say a yoke floor and or dey what's parliamentarians ni na o maka omudi na chi ana omote form na deja Freemason sign why dey be ato aso but still amfa enu achi and more walkouts in Parliament after walkout be another press conference na ye the official walkout press conference na musa ancha kra ana ye beti say Ghana delegates every Ghana Parliament for the majority side and the minority that go PMU with the ECOWAS Parliament. Yeah, you know, you Afenyo-Markin, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, the minority leader Afrimu, and the deputy, and Mum Nagwashaho, my minister, aya, where the Assam Person Association call me boss war, the boss Assam so on tree. Afenyo-Markin, and the British Parliament said they be changing that transfer called majority leader. Mahama Yaga should be told, Adi wa kobi da, mobin kobi. Aside that experience, what should be, mobin kobi. we no a opportunity e ma ma for sua de ade na sa tumi no gidigidi ope o de be dan ade na ope tumi sa wo kuro ya Afenyo-Markin ana majority leader ye yi free ho go by force ko assembly court Emma then time Chief Justice Gertrude Arabase Kitoko no enye of we ne panam judges here na yaja o metna so di asemi yewie ne zazem no abuabo ndc for na say abuabo speaker of parliament Alban Bagbin eti na majority ndc for be enjoy some few days or weeks no month ase sa wa ana olidi Emma oka say the minority side of the seat no what that's why a case enti na yebusa case ne fa him man note so we are comfortable ekodu ECOWAS so papa na say chinchin na twan wanko bi enye ye na wanko awa na ebe ko hwe mo pa o David ono Afenyo-Markin ho wa na eko na eno ana wanti ase no ono ade ne pe akopie mu ECOWAS parliament eno kro was akoji post asa ga ho ena parliament say wabrichi a friend is a parliamentary privileges eti we no asa why na say we parliamentary on fa again yes because Ghana ni ordinary Ghanaian na capacity of parliament contempt of parliament meeting no my friend no man be ask question kai say black rasta abro ka say parliamentarians omu na shiwi enche and a friend so me ask question do so my lord I'm sorry Mr. Speaker I'm sorry I didn't mean it and there's a seminar send a crew no kure ni mo to try na Kennedy okompre kwa Japan kra no you are inverting the same thing and this time around Alexander Afenyo-Markin contempt of parliament you say parliamentary privileges committee for international no mo wi asem no ehun say asem no e go merita asotwe say e koma Alexander Afenyo-Markin minim say we ye be yinu na to akunya say ye be yinu as minority leader in parliament ana say enu ntino e ba kwa ba election e wo ne e friend say because na say ye be dinu ba go to jail because oye contempt of court utin ko them 2 weeks 1 month 3 months depending on the judge now take case in so on under discretion and in the same way me bu say we a question and me bu say but eno ensema enenama Alexander Afenyo-Markin na so ayesi eja tuntum eja kokko eja fita eja gunichem kasadi hit what
As I indicated, I had a second job to do, and that had to do with the ruling. The ruling is in respect of the complaint of contempt that was brought against the minority leader, Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, member for Efutu, and minority leader of the House. Honorable members, on Tuesday, 11th November 2025, this House received a formal complaint under Order 6 and 33 from Honorable Mahama Ayarga, Member of Parliament for Boku Central and Majority Leader. The complaint alleges that Honorable Osahin Alexander Kwamina Afenyo-Markin, member for Efutu and minority leader, has engaged in conduct which, if substantiated, may constitute contempt of Parliament and a breach of parliamentary privilege pursuant to Orders 30 and 31-0 of our standing orders. The complaint arises from events said to have occurred during the sitting of the ECOWAS Parliament in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, Nigeria, from 25th to 28th September 2025. According to Honorable Ayarga, Honorable Afenyo-Markin attended that session of the ECOWAS Parliament in contravention of a duly adopted resolution of this House, which included his name from Ghana's delegation to that regional parliament. The complainant asserts further that this conduct amounts to an affront to the authority and dignity of Parliament, and accordingly invites the Speaker to refer the matter to the Committee on Privileges and Immunities for inquiry and recommendations to the House. Honorable members, as I indicated at the close of the Majority Leader's submission that day, the standing orders prescribe the procedure to be followed when allegations of contempt or breach of privilege are raised. It falls to the Speaker, in the first instance, to determine whether the facts disclosed in the complaint established a prima facie case warranting referral to the committee. Members recall that I deferred my ruling to the next day, and that was to be Wednesday, 12 November 2025. However, the pressures of business on the order paper made it impossible to deliver the ruling on that day. I am now in a position to do so. In considering this matter, I have reflected carefully on the facts alleged, the standing orders, and the relevant constitutional and statutory provisions governing 1, the authority of Parliament, 2, the binding force of parliamentary resolutions, and 3, the scope of Parliament's contempt jurisdiction. What is the nature and effect of a resolution of Parliament? Honorable members, a resolution of Parliament is a formal act through which the House expresses its collective will on a matter properly before it. Once adopted, a resolution becomes a binding decision of the House until it is rescinded, suspended, or varied in accordance with the standing orders of the House. A resolution, therefore, has continuing effect, and the Speaker, as the presiding authority, is bound to give effect to it. While the Speaker may clarify the scope or meaning of a resolution, he cannot amend, modify, or disregard it unilaterally. Honorable members, this principle reflects the doctrine of collective responsibility. When Parliament speaks through a resolution, that decision binds all members, irrespective of political affiliation, leadership status, or personal opinion. As Eskime reminds us, and I quote Eskime, the dignity of Parliament depends upon the observation of its rules, and the authority of Parliament depends upon their enforcement, unquote. This is the foundation upon which parliamentary collective responsibility rests. So what is the power and scope of Parliament's contempt jurisdiction? Contempt of Parliament refers to any act or omission that obstructs, impedes, or undermines Parliament in the performance of its functions, or which affronts its dignity, or tends either directly or indirectly to obstruct, impede, undermine Parliament in the performance of its functions, or affront the dignity of Parliament. Parliament's power to address contempt is inherent in its constitutional status as a coordinate arm of government and is expressly recognized under Article 122 of the Constitution, Order 30 of the Standing Orders, and Section 26 of the Parliament Act 1965, Act 300. Honorable members, the jurisdiction to sanction contempt is not limited to acts committed within the chamber. The relevant test is whether the conduct, wherever it occurs, has a direct or indirect tendency to obstruct, diminish, or bring Parliament into disrepute or ridicule. Parliament may therefore exercise its contempt jurisdiction over conduct occurring outside the presence of the House, where such conduct undermines the institution's authority or impairs its ability to give effect to its decisions. Honorable members, I note that the specific instances of contempt listed in the standing orders, such as disorderly behavior, deceit, or disobedience of an order issued by the presiding officer, do not expressly identify non-compliance with or disregard of a resolution as a distinct ground of contempt. A resolution, as earlier observed, is a decision of Parliament, not an order of the Speaker. There is therefore no express provision making its breach a stand-alone category of contempt. However, Section 26 of Act 300 makes clear that the enumeration of contempt grounds is not exhaustive. Parliament retains the right to treat as contempt any act that impedes its functions or affronts its dignity. Order 31A similarly contemplates conduct, whether specific or general, that brings Parliament into disrepute or undermines its institutional authority. It is within this broader category that the present allegation must be assessed. Honorable members, it is useful to consider what constitutes an affront to the dignity or authority of Parliament. Orders 30C and 31A prove directly or indirectly brings Parliament into disrepute or which undermines its authority, reputation, or dignity may amount to contempt. These capture behavior that, while not obstructing proceedings, undermines Parliament's standing, coherence, or credibility. An affront to the dignity or authority of Parliament may arise where a member's conduct A. challenges or disregards a valid act or decision of the House. B. diminishes the institutional authority of Parliament or the Speaker. C. undermines public confidence in the discipline, unity, or dignity of Parliament. Or D. brings Parliament into disrepute before state organs or external bodies. Unlike other specific grounds of contempt set out in the standing orders, this category focuses not on the place where the act occurred, but on its effect. Conduct that conveys the impression that Parliament's decision may be ignored without consequence qualify as an affront to dignity, even if committed outside the presence of the House. Democratic experience across the world teaches that institutions endure not by their formal design alone, but by the conduct of those entrusted with them. The strength of this House, therefore, rests not merely in its constitutional design, but in the consistent respect members accord to its decisions and processes. Honorable members, having reviewed the complaint, the standing orders, and the governing principles, I am satisfied that the matter raised prima facie implicates the dignity and institutional integrity of this House. Pursuant to Order 34.1, I therefore refer the matter, the complaint lodged by the Honourable Member for Boko Central and a majority leader to the Committee on Privileges and Immunities for examination, inquiry, investigation, and report to the House. The committee is directed to 1. Ascertain the relevant facts giving rise to the complaint, including the actions taken by the House and by the Honourable Member concerned. 2. Review those actions taken within the framework of our standing orders and the applicable protocols of the ECOWAS Parliament. 3. Determine whether the conduct, if established, constitutes contempt of Parliament or a breach of privilege under Orders 30 and 31A. And 4. Make appropriate recommendations to the House for its consideration. In conclusion, honourable members, whatever our political differences, the authority of Parliament rests on a shared commitment to respect its decisions and uphold the integrity of its processes. Allegations that a member has disregarded a decision of this House must therefore be examined with fairness, constitutional fidelity, and a clear regard for the institutional independence of Parliament. I urge the committee to discharge its mandate with diligence, impartiality, and decorum, ensuring that all parties are given a fair hearing. Until the committee completes its inquiry and responds to the House, and reports to the House, I advise honourable members to refrain from public commentary on this matter in order to preserve the dignity and unity of this august House. I thank all of you for your attention, and I pray that discipline will prevail in this matter.
Now, minority leader in Parliament, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, Anna, after say, you can say contempt of Parliament, no papa say, obey with Bible quotation, and yet papa no turn the boss Bible quotation, where kai Roman Catholic Guinea say Freemasonry abba. Papa no te Bible no ruffle. Anna what kind Bible na? I know you just say, ne kwa na say me anyankopo achira me de where we cost to the better by and ya dear be father. I will keep on, I will be a blessing until my blessing become a blessing to others. And ya dear the blessing no ever season there. It one way Koka reba and no Alexander Afenyo-Markin more na go pay mu our parliamentary privileges committee no engosiaga hwi si de besibiano ono oye law abiding obetina mu amisa ah baby adu no speaker of parliament akasa na o say ne wan obeda akasa ntimi ngasa over responding now responding we are still you go follow due process.
Quote, it is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievements, and who at the worst if he fails, at the least fails while doing greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. To this end, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge my colleagues in the minority that although we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, we must fear no evil. Let's remain strong. Refuse to be intimidated. Refuse the subtle culture of silence. Let's soldier on. Victory awaits us.
Now, on parliamentary proceedings, na efa Kpandai, member of parliament, ehun papa efe no honorable Maitio Yindam. Na sa nkomo na ene Tamale High Court. Akose sa seme de mo bo ha. Montum bo asem san koto abone biu. MPP for minority side in parliament. Alaze da Afenyo-Markin so monti ase NDC. Se chinchi na etwan. Papa no oni tumi so okasa as a parliamentarian assistance. Onye parliamentarian biu no. Eno ana maame aye frɛ no. Nana ya jantwa ekase na say a president was set with Jackie question. So why is Afenyo-Markin ranting? And you also on tia say onim de ntia say Afenyo-Markin ni MP before me this na say ade we ebisi abra Jackie question. Papa no ye no ekoye reran eno ekoye the same saga yayi. But say what ya say ye no sa mo anana mo satan majority in parliament. Mo imani ye no sa amani na ekowia awie pa. Adena na ye ka bia we de mo ntia say MPP asemu ya hypocrite. Asa de baby mu ya koka koyi mu ya hypocrite mu heyi munye very careful munye be careful pa na baby aduru no oman kan no kra ntem a mu ya say mu ya say spoil the road and spoil the child mu ya say David video want to say
me I'm surprised at the vituperations of Afenyo-Markin. You get BPO. The way Afenyo-Markin is going on, if you don't check him, it will be very problematic. There is a court ruling. You are a lawyer yourself. It is based. Every court ruling is based on evidence. Auntie Saba said that the law is the law. You get me? Former Chief Justice. She said the law is the law. So if the law is being used to adjudicate a matter to come to a certain judgment and conclusion, you say it's a kangaroo.
But he's talking about how the court has decided to go about it.
How did the court decide? The court is based on evidence. Some of the polling stations, even the collation of the results, how the collation center was changed without the notice, that alone is a misconduct.
So that's the point. You just answered that if you have issues within certain polling stations,
Yes.
why call for an entire election rerun?
No, but I'm saying that because then it becomes a problematic. Do you get me? The process of even changing the collation center in the constituency, that if we go through all of them, it's possible we find more. But this is what is before the judge. And it is good enough evidence that if this has happened, how much more the others. The key thing is that collation center for the constituency was changed without recourse to both participants or PCs. That alone is a red flag. Without the inconsistencies in those constituencies, that alone is a red flag. That's where the thing is collated, you change it and people don't even know that you have done so. So there's nothing wrong. So why is Afenyo-Markin making this kind of noise? Saying that he wants to go to Nsawam. Oh, you should try and go. I don't think he's never been there before. Maybe as a lawyer he visited. But if he's locked up, then he will know what it is to be locked up. So he shouldn't talk like that. Because if he starts to, his colleagues, I don't think the people surrounding him, they want to go to Nsawam. Because if Nsawam was pleasant, Kenoforiata would be in Ghana by now. He has run away. If Nsawam was pleasant. So he shouldn't speak for his colleagues. They are already in a minority, they are minor, they are already miserable. And you are saying that you are ready to go to Nsawam.
Afenyo would disagree with you to describe the minority as miserable. He repeatedly said that we are small but mighty.
You see, only a miserable person rants and raves. If you rant and you rave, it means that you are not in control. Do you get me? Anybody who rants and raves, you have misery in your heart.
You don't think that he has the right to express his dissatisfaction with a court ruling?
You can express it, but not in the manner he's doing it.
How did you expect him to?
No, I expect him to be stoic about it. Go through the process. If you think that it was not done correctly, go through the process of correcting if it is so.
They're already in court, and
in
fact, he said that they are going to challenge it.
If you are going to, why are you talking? If you are going to challenge and you think that you have a good enough case, why are you ranting and raving? Sometimes it makes me feel that Afenyo wants to be a presidential candidate or something, because he's always out there talking. It's not everything that you talk about. You see, my dear, if you think that you are worth your salt, you are worth your while, you should go and face the election again. You said you won it. Your base has not changed. The same people you said voted for you are there. The 30 days has been given. If you say that you won by 3,000 votes, you still have those people. You don't even have to spend much money because you have your base and you win. So you don't rant. You don't rave, you don't call names. You go and face it and win and prove to everybody. Look, Jechi Kwesi, what happened? Why is Afenyo talking about kangaroo? What happened to Jechi Kwesi? That was more than a kangaroo court. But we don't want to talk about it. Jechi Kwesi, there was a rerun. He even won the seat. They said that he's not a Ghanaian, use some clauses just to reduce the numbers of the NDC in parliament. And he went and he won. So what is right? Precedent has been said before. So why are they ranting and raving? Why are they talking and making noise in everybody's ears?
And address the inconsistencies and inaccuracies there too. Mr. Speaker, never as deputy leader, never as leader of this house did I advocate that Honorable Jechi Kwesi, having lost a high court case, should be marched out of this chamber. I want the honorable member who is attempting to quote me to bring that Hansa. I challenge him on that. Mr. Speaker, I am surprised that Honorable Roxin Defiamako is making an argument, and according to him, he is grounding it on principles. Mr. Speaker, let me spend a bit of time on Jechi Kwesi. After the High Court ruling, and he filed an appeal and a stay of execution, this house never denied Jechi Kwesi his right of entry and his right to be heard. Mr. Speaker, no, Hansard. That is why I love Hansard.
But Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin, ese asemno adubrewo. Asemno enkoda bebieda. Se asemba na pani okambi wi asemno etuasi. Asemno yen de pumasi bre anasa. O se enye possible. Despite declaring Kpandai seat vacant is premature. Papa I friend Speaker of Parliament, Alban Bagbin. Say no. Sa seat no yentimi and declare say vacant. Because according to Ghana law or no, or say a lawyer, onim say nipa no was 7 good days. Obetimi dia kwakoye appeal. And he say obey appeal so on your appeal. Sa say NC and he say immediately NDC for a demand say papa no yen sake no from parliament, yen for parliament no is neither here nor there. In this answer no yen trambo yen tungu kra. And the NDC for our parliament on fa say oye NDC ni na moto abama na obe Speaker of Parliament. Baby Ghana mra no baby da no ano de beto aka tell na say bamum bully minority for no because we can only build Ghana together. And the one or mama tia say we enye possible muntimi nya sa mane yi until after 7 days appeal bian kwaso a na the necessary proceedings aka no near the trust am say hey and the Ghana Parliament I had the rough.
The filing of a stay application may yet introduce an additional layer that may prevent changes to the member status within the meaning of Article 97 and 99 of the Constitution. The House's attention is also brought to Article 105 of the 1992 Constitution, which provides that a person who sits or votes in Parliament, and I quote, knowing or having reasonable grounds for knowing, unquote, that he is not entitled to do so commits an offense. It is crucial to emphasize that Article 105 is penal in nature should the member know that he ought not to be in the chamber and he participates in the activities in the chamber. Honorable members, it's therefore too much premature to say that the Honorable Matthew Nyindam is disqualified from entering and participating in the proceedings of the House, because this period still falls within the 7 days mandatory stay of execution of the order. Honorable members, this is not a declaratory order. It is an executive order that was delivered by the High Court. And so the honorable member is right to have been in the House yesterday and to have participated in the proceedings.
Eti Parliament mwede eja pa, eja tutum, eja koko, eja shishe enegu Alexander, Afenyo-Markin sichemu, ECOWAS Parliament wankwa, nanka diye nebisi. Eye tumi, ana ya mopene moroso, ana se, baby moduru no chinchina chai, si leader na so ye bibi. I remember vividly this particular issue under the floor of Parliament. I know we discuss it. Afenyo-Markin was so not understanding anything. Obiabe Kabia. Emma Ekobusa, the deputy minority leader. Mammy no just a baby no suru. Now we're gonna. They say, "Oh, penny, enya obeko." Now ya found home as a home. Say Eddie Mawa. Now I say, "I'm a dear to Eddie." Now there's a unya in the position now obedi. Yes, I know there's a who as a deputy, as someone who didn't channel. Ono unya na we ha no enya de ono be fine enya de a o experience bi ese o kire na se be ya sa mistakes ana nema so bitima ya wini no on kire o enti papa ya yesa ECOWAS Parliament wako they say Ghana Parliament and according to the Speaker of Parliament Alban Bagbin say baby aduru no contempt of Parliament Alexander Afenyo-Markin I refer Ediama Parliament Privileges Committee say omontra na asem so na omonka no muhuye na yehu boni awedi for say the fourth ASN the JSN number pa the problem number ASN a yehu onu wia ni go so okay sisi ano she ba be you know as a minority leader and as be in the Parliament and now say ye by election ni constituency there can be a minim there be be a minim say obi a lawyer no betima cheche mu ya fato comment section as na cheche mu na we no say also wadwen ye here say be there fa watayi fa naked truth fato comment section as we are subscribe like it na say ma unya so enya bi enwe edi no eda so eye ba kope Maxi Billian our naked truth our Oldboga trends. Macra, bye bye.